I recently sat down with a man that they call the lazy investor. He's a legend in certain circles, known for generating absurd returns by seemingly doing nothing. He agreed to answer 5 of my questions, but only if I kept his methods private. He believes this knowledge is too dangerous for the average person because it's so simple it feels like a cheat code. But after hearing his answers, I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. This information is the unfair advantage we've all been looking for. So I'm publishing it. And I'll probably regret this. Pay close attention to all 5 answers, but especially the last one. Question number 5 reveals the single biggest secret he uses to find opportunities the entire market misses. It changes the entire game. Thank you for your time. Let's start with the biggest myth. Most people think finding great investments requires endless research, reading financial reports, and tracking news 24/7. It doesn't sound very lazy. What's the one thing they're all doing wrong?
They're looking for a needle in a haystack. They believe that the more information they consume, the smarter they'll become. But they're just consuming noise. They're trying to predict the rain by counting the clouds. The lazy, and therefore effective, approach isn't to look for the needle. It's to buy the entire haystack when it's on sale. The biggest mistake is focusing on what to buy. The real question is when to buy. I don't look for hot stocks. I look for cold markets. I wait for widespread panic, for fear, for the moment when everyone is screaming sell. That's not a signal of danger. That's a dinner bell.
Buy when there's blood in the streets, as they say. But even in a panic, there are thousands of stocks. How does a lazy investor choose? Do you still have to analyze individual companies?
Absolutely not. Analyzing individual companies is a job for people who enjoy being wrong most of the time. The secret isn't to pick the right company in a beaten-down sector. It's to buy the entire sector. Think of it this way. During the gold rush, you could gamble on which miner would find gold, or you could sell shovels to all of them. Selling shovels is the smarter, lazier business. In investing, the shovels are ETFs, exchange-traded funds. When the tech sector panics, I don't try to guess if I should buy Google or a small unknown startup. I buy the tech ETF. When the energy market collapses, I buy the energy ETF. I'm not betting on a single horse. I'm betting on the whole race after everyone else has already given up on it.
That makes sense. You're buying entire industries when they are hated. But timing is everything. How do you know when it's the right time to buy? How do you avoid catching a falling knife, buying too early and losing everything?
You're asking the wrong question again. You're still thinking like a hunter, trying to time the perfect shot. I think like a gardener. I don't need to plant the seed on the sunniest day of the year. I just need to plant it in the right season. The lazy way to avoid timing the market is through a system I call the rule of halves. When a sector I like has fallen, say, 30%, I don't go all in. I invest half of the money I'm willing to commit. If it falls even further, to 50% or 60% down, I'm not scared. I'm thrilled. I then deploy the second half of my money at an even bigger discount. If it goes up from my first entry, great, I'm making a profit. If it goes down, great, I get an even better bargain. It's a system that removes fear and emotion and guarantees I'm buying cheap one way or another.
A system to remove emotion. That's powerful. But what about selling? This is where most people fail. They get greedy and hold on for too long, or they panic and sell too early. What's the lazy rule for taking profits?
Selling is simpler than anyone imagines. My rule is this. I sell when the story is on the cover of a magazine, when the same sector that everyone hated is now being celebrated as the future of everything, when taxi drivers and my dentist are telling me to invest in it. That's my signal to exit. Greed is a siren's call, and the loudest singing comes right before the crash. The lazy investor sells not when they need the money, but when the world finally agrees with them. Because by the time an investment is popular, the smart money, the lazy money, has already moved on. I sell my shovels when the gold rush has become a media circus, and I use that money to buy the next thing everyone is terrified of.
This has been incredible, which brings me to my final and most important question. You look for hated markets, you buy entire sectors with ETFs, you use the rule of halves, and you sell to the crowd. But there are many hated sectors at any given time. How do you choose which one to focus on? What is the single most important signal you look for that tells you a hidden opportunity is real?
This is the secret I was hesitant to share. Because it's so simple, it sounds foolish. While everyone is looking at charts, news, and financial statements, I look at only one thing: insider buying. I don't care what a CEO says on television. I care where he puts his own money. When a sector is down 50% and the news is screaming apocalypse, but you see dozens of CEOs, CFOs, and board members of a few key companies in that sector suddenly start buying their own stock with their own cash, that is the ultimate signal. It's the loudest whisper in the market. It tells you that the people who know the most are betting on a recovery. The news is noise. The price chart is a history book. But a CEO buying his own company stock during a crisis, that's a glimpse into the future. That's the only cheat code you'll ever need.
There you have it. The system is simple, lazy, and it goes against everything you've ever been told. That's why it works. If this knowledge helps you, do me a favor and like this video so the algorithm shares it with others who need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next unfair advantage. And now, I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, who should I interrogate next? A lazy genius? A lazy monk? You decide. See you in the next video.